everybody. Welcome to our podcast, Yes and No Podcast. This is my good friend, Matt,
Hi.
and I'm your host, Arda. I like tooth. It's weird how I'm talking.
Where
I'm a little
you
bit
look
slurring a little bit.
you look like Nandor, to be honest, for people just
Nandor?
listening. Yeah, Nandor from What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show?
Yeah.
The dumb one.
Shut
Turkey.
up. Yeah, I'm an Ottoman Empire vampire, I guess.
That's what I are. Yeah?
So we have a guest today, Ebony from Ebonylane. She has her own brand. We'll hear more about it from her. Well, how are you doing, Ebony?
Well, I'm doing well. My brand, I could tell you what that's all
Yeah,
about.
tell us a little bit more about what Ebonylane is.
Well, I'd like to teach people to cultivate their inner magic. So I make tools that will help people cultivate the magic that's inside of them. And, magic is an energy. So sometimes we need tools to help us harness that energy, that you think that it might be coming from the actual tools like candles, oils, incense, and ritual items, but it's actually coming from yourself. But these tools that I create, handmade, help you harness your own energy to the point where you sometimes don't need it after that.
So you do candles? Do you do anything else?
I do all kinds of tools. So like intention oils, which would be essential oils, herbs, petals, and all kinds of stuff that I add together. And then you can use affirmations and use your own power within to power those things, such as a love potion.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So
you make potions, or do you?
I do.
Okay. Do you?
I do.
Okay. Or you sell the product to create some?
I actually make them from scratch using essential oils. I think oils and flowers and plants all have spirits and energy that you can actually harness and use with your own energy.
Okay.
That's interesting. When did you start it? So if I say like the spells you're doing, do you read about the either is witchcraft or the spells? Like, do you read certain books, and how did you get into it?
Well, okay. So I got into it back about 25 years ago when I had a broken heart. I was dumped. So I decided to go to a witch. Instead of Christianity and praying and freaking out or whatever it is. We all turn to things when we need something. So I said, this time I'm going to try another route. So I went to a store. It was a witch. And I told her what was wrong.
Where was it?
It was here in Hollywood. It's called Pan's Apothecary.
Are they still open?
They are.
Oh,
crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, I went in there. There was a long line. There was all these things. It was so fascinating to me. And I told her what was going on, and she got a candle, and she reached up and down on all these different shelves and added this and that and this and that, and told me how to use it. And I went home and I did, and I was successful, and I became fascinated, and I started reading and learning more, and it's a fascinating subject. I mean, I felt like I had power, and I felt like I could do things that nobody else knew. It's amazing.
Interesting. If anybody feel the same way as you are and wants to get into either witchcraft or using these energy and tools, what would you recommend them? Like, where should they start?
Well, first of all, I mean, there's so much knowledge out there. I love Audible. Reading a book is going to be great, but Audible is the best because you can, while you're driving, while you're doing the dishes, whatever, I recommend downloading a book. There's one called Inner Witch.
We are not sponsored by audiobook.
But it's
anyways, I recommend
place,
getting a book or listening to a book, going outside, spending time outside, feet on the ground. You want to be under a tree or on the ground or somewhere in nature where you
Yeah.
can be inspired.
Interesting.
I do recommend that.
Okay. I remember, Matt, I remember you were talking about when you were younger, maybe high school or college, you went to this school where you find this spell book or something. And I remember it was like an old building with these type of things, and you kind of get into. Can you tell me that story again? I don't know.
Yeah. So basically, I don't know. I think I was back in just before high school, to be honest. It was like at the end of middle school, and I was living in the center of France in a small city called Bourges, which is like there's a cathedral there, and then there's nothing around for 100 miles, basically. Wow. And there's like, this is where you can definitely find the old culture from old time. You can find it in France, like
medieval,
the castle, medieval, and stuff like that. And then there was like a lot of literature over there, like a lot of books that were old with old stories, you know, from the region. And then, you know, almost the real witchcraft that you can imagine, you know, in movies, which is like in this small, you know, cottage in the middle of the forest or something like that. Wow. And there was like a lot of stories about that. And then there's like definitely ritual written on it. It was not like a crazy old book, how you can imagine with the dust on it, but it's definitely something that been translated and then being like perpetrated through years. I found that really fascinating back then. Because like there's that double things in Europe, I would say, especially maybe in France, but there's like this fine line between spirituality, esotery, and then and religion too. Because like a lot of people, there was like this, not fight, I would say, between religious people and also other type of belief, but it's always been there, coexisting for like thousands of years. So you can still find some old traditions almost, even on books, still today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can even go to more paganistic rituals like Turkey as an Ottoman Empire. I can tell you guys that the Turkic rituals and practices, they were like pagans. So they had these rituals like with their relationship with nature and how they maybe communicate with the nature and use the energies and the powers that they believe that forest and nature has. So they tried to came up with these ways of spells and good luck or protection or stuff like that. So those are like very interesting ancient practices. Which in Western culture, I think it become like it has a different tone to it. It's the same idea, but I don't know. I kind of find it fascinating. The witchcraft and warlock, being a warlock. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know.
I do too. Mm-hmm.
I have a question, so Ebony. So, can you tell us more about the spell that you did that worked in some way? For me, it always felt that when you're giving the secret, or if it's something that worked, it's kind of like karma sometimes. You say something that you did, it worked, and then if you say it, really, you know, it just stopped or something like that. Does that work like that?
Absolutely. I believe that, you know, and a lot of us believe that any type of magic you're going to do, especially if it has to do with bending the will of another person, is always going to come back ×3. So this spell that I did, what happened was I had a very bad breakup. So I went to the witch not to get this person back, but to heal my heart. So I just wanted to feel healed. I didn't want revenge. I wasn't looking for revenge. So this spell was to heal my heart, and I felt immediate relief. But there has been spells that I did do, love spells. Would you like to hear about one of my love spells?
Sure.
There was a guy that I really liked a lot, and I lit a red candle. Red is for passion, attracting passion, and also fire. It was red and pink, so I wanted this specific person, so I wrote their name on a piece of paper, and I wrote a bunch of stuff that I wanted from this relationship, friendship, whatever, and I put it underneath the candle, and I concentrated really hard on having this person, and I sent them mental callings, like I was just calling them over and over, and sure enough, they came to me. But I realized that in bending someone's will, there's always going to be consequences. This person became obsessed with me and would not leave me alone. He actually stopped doing his normal daily stuff and only wanted to be with me. He stopped playing the drums, stopped riding his motorcycle, never wanted to be with his friends. And it just became so obsessive that he didn't even feel like himself. And he asked me if I did something. Of course, I said no and I denied it. But that's when I realized, like, wow, magic is real and it's really powerful. And one thing I want to say, just to make sure that everybody knows, is that magic is just an energy. People like to say white magic, black magic. There's no such thing as a dark one and a light one. It's actually just energy.
There's no black and
White
white
magic and black magic.
No.
I just want to make sure that I express that white magic can draw in good and it can draw in bad. And black magic can repel good and it can repel bad. It's all up to the practitioner and the person that's using it. So if I decide to use magic, there's no bad and good magic. It is the person who is using the magic, and magic is energy. So we don't have to say the word magic. We could say energy, or we could say magic. There's no such thing as evil magic. It's the person. So it's like, for instance, my father is a Christian. He'll come over my house and say, "You're going to hell because you practice witchcraft." And I say to him, that's not true, because the things that I do have to do with spirituality. I use herbs and nature. I like to work with crystals and flowers and plants. Why is that going to send me to hell? Why is that evil?
Yeah, Christianity has, religions generally, I think, has this relationship with, as you were mentioning, Matt, with like spell or some kind of magic, or as you said, even anything outside that is supernatural. Like they have a relationship that's negative.
Absolutely. You're going to hell if you do it. That's what they say.
But do you believe in that though? You were mentioning that you were more believing in magic than religion in general, but you still believe there's like a higher God, or maybe
I see.
Someone that is in hell too, something like that, like a bad and a good and a bad at the same time,
I personally believe that we've been taught that as a form of control. I believe that there is a higher person, I'm not going to say person because it's not human, so I wouldn't want to give it human traits, but there is a higher energy and a higher being. It could be a goddess, gods. I think we are all one. And I don't believe that there is someone on the bottom and someone on the top. I believe it's just energy. It's just energy available for us to use, and harnessing that. And earth magic, that's what we use. Candles, fire is an element, air is an element, water is an element, earth is an element. And we can use these elements to harness that energy to make things and to create things. You can learn that. The way to learn it is just to educate yourself. It's out there. And it goes far, far back. But of course, we've been taught that if you can't see it, then it's not real. And my favorite thing to say to people is that magic is like Wi-Fi. You can't see it, but you know it's working. And if you were to say to somebody in the 1950s, there's going to be this energy that's going to power all of our devices, and you're going to be able to see people from across the world, they would say, no, I don't believe that. And why would they say that? Because they can't see it. You can't see Wi-Fi, but it's still working. And that's how magic works.
I was going to tell, actually, I got 3 candles from Ebony. So one of them is for like passion, and the other one is for work. The other one is for more like financial. Like, me, I don't really believe supernatural. I feel like anything supernatural is supernatural until you have a natural explanation of it. Once you can explain it, then it's not supernatural anymore. I didn't do any magic before. So when I was talking with Ebony and when I got the candles, I think my initial intention was to have something that reminds me what I want, what I needed. And I also like knowing that it's coming from someone who understands what I wanted, and she puts her intentions to support what I want. I don't know. I think in my mind it's a motivating thing. So yeah, I mean, Ebony calls it energy, and energy has different forms. At the end of the day, like when you look at our neurology, you can say that the information and everything is kind of an energy that our neurons communicate and talk with each other. So all of those things is kind of like a reminder or a set goal, or like a so my look at it is maybe more psychological rather than maybe supernatural. But I can see where Ebony is coming from too. Like I respect that.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of times people will work with magic, candle magic, and they don't know what they're doing. And then suddenly they'll start to see things happen. Whereas, like, let's just say you get a money candle, and all of a sudden you get like, and
Money.
it's not suddenly, but little by little, you see spikes in your money. You get a love candle, and suddenly you start seeing spikes in people acknowledging you, women coming at you, and doing more like that.
Yeah.
And then we try to explain it in a way and think, well, that's just life. It's just happening for me. No, it is not. What it is that you tuned in and tapped in to that energy. You are using that energy that you have inside. You are channeling that, honing that in, and telling the universe what you want. And it is then coming back to you. That does not expire. So if you light a candle for some love or whatever it is, time will pass, even months later, and all these women are coming at you. Do not think that that's just your life and it's a coincidence. No, you asked for that. You open that door, you put that out there, and now it's coming. And when you do not acknowledge that, it does dissipate. When you acknowledge it, then you make it stronger. And it starts happening more and more and more. And little by little, you stop using these tools. You don't need the tools anymore. You simply say what you want, and it happens.
That's where I was going, actually. Do you need those tools automatically? Because it feels like it's almost like a prop for basically what you're saying. Basically, you're saying like it's the energy at the end of the day, but this is like a prop that helps you connect with this energy, if I understand well.
They're like training wheels, like on a bicycle. When you take the training wheels off, you can ride the bike. But in the beginning, you need those training wheels to get you focused and to stay balanced. And of course, we're not taught this. Growing up, we have a preset Catholic religion, Buddhism, whatever it is, that's preset. This is what our ancestors have set up for us to believe. Of course, we're not growing up learning witchcraft and how to do magic and how to manage money. Of course not. But just because we weren't taught that doesn't mean it doesn't work. You do not need the tools. But if you're new to this, I recommend using the tools like wands, candles, oils, herbs. There's also something that we call the laws of attraction. And that's when you set your intentions. You can call it witchcraft, laws of attraction. There's so many things that you can call it. Praying, when people pray, that is a spell. That is a form of using energy. When you pray to God, please God, help me, and all this stuff, what do you think you're doing? You're sending out energy, asking for a certain thing to happen. And then you say, God answered my prayers. No, you sent it out there. The energy listened. It's like a movie. It's like a matrix. You are creating, life is what you make it. And that's what it is.
So you were mentioning law of attraction. We mentioned that actually in one of our previous episodes last season was about, what was it called? Or the book?
Secret?
Yeah, The Secret, I guess.
I love that movie.
So
The
book or the movie. Yeah, there was like a documentary about it. So do you think for you, like energy, as you were mentioning it, is something like that? Is it like just transpire from us in some way? And then we connect almost physically to others at the same time?
I absolutely feel like, yes, that is the whole thing. People call it so many different things, and there's so many different levels. Like, there's paradigms and different dimensions and different things. So what I do is earth magic, and and it's like a simpler form of magic. The laws of attraction goes beyond tools. You don't need tools. You just use your mind. And once you learn how to do that, the laws of attraction and magic and witchcraft and all that, it's all the same thing. That's what I think. Yeah.
So in that case, like, do you think, because like we were mentioning about intention and stuff like that, but what about karma or curse? Do you think those are existing too in that sense?
I believe 100% in karma. I believe that karma is going to get you whenever it needs to get you. It's a way of learning. It's almost like when you see a candle and a baby and it sees fire and it touches it and it gets burned, and the baby knows not to touch it again. I see karma like that. I see karma as a lesson it's a director. It teaches you where to go, what to do, and how to do it. I believe in ancestral karma as well. And oh my God, this subject is so huge. My mind goes so many different places to stay focused. But karma.
No. Actually, yeah, it's good. Like, I want to know what you're talking about. That. Do you mean like from generation through generations?
Generational karma. I 100% believe in that. And that's why we can call on our ancestors to help us in times of need, because they want us to succeed, because they have their own karma that they had to. They might not have been able to live out what it was they wanted to do. And so we are a direct line to be able to continue the path. And sometimes when you get off the path, karma comes and says, okay, you're off the path. Now we're going to have to burn your house down. We're going to have to take your car. We're going to have to do this or that to get you back in line because you did this or that. And people say, well, what did I do? I'm innocent. And I always tell people when they're feeling victimized and karma is getting them, I say to them, let's stop for a minute and think. Think about, what did you do really? What were your thoughts? Because as within, so without. Anything that you have ever done is always going to come back with karma. Anything. So stop feeling like you're the victim. Whatever's coming back. And then sometimes people will say, well, why does a baby have leukemia? Or why is a baby sick? Why did a child get beat up? What kind of karma is that? That is what I call ancestral karma.
So in some way, like you're saying, and it's kind of like the way people are describing curses too at the same time. It feels like if I take a story from my mother, she told me that my grandmother, she saw someone over the bed of my grandmother. And then since then, there was like so many things bad that happened. Like, do you think this is people are saying, oh, well, that was a curse. But don't you think maybe that in that case, it would be kind of a karmic,
repeat, like someone was in the bed. Wait, what was it?
I don't know, like stories like that. A lot of stories that you can find. And I think mine was something about like my grandmother went back in the kitchen and then she saw my grandmother when she was young as a baby. And there was someone over her bed and then like wearing black and things like that and just disappeared. And then from then, like it felt like some people in the family thought that there was a curse or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's true, if she saw something or not. Like there's
but why would they go right to the curse, the word curse? See, that to me is commercial. And that's something I was talking to Arda about early on. I was telling Arda that a lot of times people, well, not this part, the curse part, but people like to wear black and pentagrams and they look like gothic and vampire and they're so into witchcraft. Those people are just posers and they're fake. Anyone that's dressing all black and dark like that, to me, that's all fake stuff. The people that are incognito, that you can't see what they're doing, those are the real believers and the true people that are doing spells and magic. As far as the person that was hovering over your grandmother's bed wearing black, I wouldn't say that that's karma. What I would think that would be something like your ancestors visiting you. They want to help you. They want to give you a message. A lot of times we'll have someone visit us because we have a mission and there's something that we need to do or something that we're not doing, and they're there. That's why we use divination. Divination would be tarot, tarot readings, oracle readings, or the pendulum. And that's the way the person that was in black hovering over your bed can actually speak to you through the cards, through the pendulum. That's why I like to have all these tools in my home. So in case there's anybody visiting, they can talk to me through me to you and to my clients. And I think that if your grandmother would have had some sort of tools, she could have asked a question like, hey, why are you hovering over this bed? No, it's nice to have tools to use to communicate with our ancestors, our spirit guides, ascended masters, those who want to communicate with us and help us on our path. And that's a whole new subject as well. Do you believe in magic, the two of you?
Do I believe in magic? To be honest, I don't know. I would say no, but at the same time, I kind of tried to practice it a couple of times and it kind of worked. And even though like we're kind of on the side of science with art, I would say in general, there's still some things that we cannot really explain. And through that not explanation, I'm just putting a cue there. I'm not saying that I'm believing in it 100% the way it is described, but I'm still, in that part where I'm like, okay, that doesn't fit in that doesn't fit in there either in science or in mystic or something like that. So maybe. I'm not saying 100% no. I'm not saying 100% yes.
Right.
But I tried some, definitely. I had a couple of books, especially when I was in high school and stuff like that, because I kind of like those ideas. After the book that I told you about, I started looking a lot, and especially for the whole white magic. Like when I was in high school, I was also close to another cathedral. There was a lot of stories. There was a lot of things going on. So that always interested me. So I tried some spell, I would say, and some small things. And it kind of worked. So how do I describe it?
Kind of.
No, but it's like you're saying,
It worked
like maybe
or it didn't work. Yeah.
it did work, but at the same time, as you were saying it feels sometimes it's just life events. But
Right, a coincidence.
So
Right.
that's how I perceive it. If you ask me, did I do something and then there was a result? 100%. Do I put that 100% on that? I don't know. That's the thing.
That's a good answer.
What about you, Arda?
Yeah.
I mean, you want the short one or the long one?
I want the long one because there's something I also wanted to ask Arda about that too. Is we are really interested about science stuff too, and one of the things that goes into this kind of new age, going on with spirituality. There's definitely this idea of energy, and we talked about it before. But the thing is, also in science, there's more and more, things going in terms of quantum, level energy and things like that. That there was some tests done about like moving particles in one place and then it moves another particles in another place at the same time.
Yeah, entanglement.
That's where it's also goes to kind of the scientific aspect to it. And this is why I want to know a little bit more, Arda, about that. What do you think?
I mean, quantum physics, I don't think we know enough about quantum physics to talk about real life applications of quantum physics. I think people sometimes hear something and then they add that to their daily language and, because quantum is like that, then therefore this is like that. I don't really lean into those things. I think the question for me is epistemological and sometimes semantic. How do you know something? Why do you believe the things that you believe? And sometimes for some people, it's more intuitive. They look at the emotions and the feelings, and that may say something to them, or experiences. If I experience something, if I see something at the corner, I wouldn't assume that there's an external force. I probably assume my brain is creating it. So there are two approaches to that. One person is seeing it as, oh no, there's something there. And then I'm seeing it as like, no, I'm making that up, even though however real it is, because we know there are schizophrenic people. We know that our brains can create realities. So I am a very scientific person. I am a very epistemologically, you need to demonstrate. It should be repetitive for me to be really convinced. I'm not saying any of the claims people are making is not true. I cannot really say that because I think, again, epistemologically, that's not a correct position. I think what I can say is I'm not convinced. Like, I'm listening to you. I'm open to what you're saying. I'm not saying you're false, you're not true, but I need more to believe what you believe. And I think it's a respectable position for both sides. Like,
absolutely.
That's
fair.
But again, as Ebony said, like, it's kind of like a Wi-Fi that you cannot see, but it works. So as long as I get a candle from her, I lit it up, I put intentions, I want certain things for myself in my life, and I'm seeing that it's working. Why not? I'll get more candles. I will.
Did you see results?
Yeah, I mean, for one of them, but the other two, who knows? Maybe later, I will see a result.
The creativity candle. That's in the air already. It's already happening. The one that you lit.
Yeah. And I think I also find it valuable to have those conversations with you. In my mind, I'm having those conversations with myself. Like, what do I want? When you're lighting the candle, at the end of the day, you're thinking something. You say, like, I want to get this or I want to do that. So in itself, as you said, it's kind of like a tool in between. Kind of like, I think Eastern tradition, you have these totem, like even like pagan traditions, you have like a totem. It's kind of like an object that you put meaning to with your brain. It's kind of maybe neurologically helpful, so you can focus on that goal, so you can focus on that thing. But again, I'm going to go back to, at the end of the day, it's working, and I think it's interesting. And I enjoy doing it instead of just like writing it on a paper and putting it on the wall and like waking up and looking at it every day or something. I don't know. I think it's more
I know some people doing that.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you can do that too. But I would like to do it with a candle, or with talking with Ebony and Ebony sending intentions and, saying like, I think that's more interesting. But I really like it.
Ebony, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you believe in supernatural? Because we're mentioning that as something that is granted or could be paranormal, something like that. But do you believe like another type of supernatural in general? Do you think there's a line between magic that you're describing and other type of things that people are perceiving?
Absolutely, I do. And the thing is that I find it to be so small-minded to think that us human beings are the only intelligence, the only explanation. First of all, we don't use any of our brain to even be smart enough to even say that we don't believe in supernatural forces, other spirits, other beings. One thing that is, to me, supernatural, that might not be considered supernatural to normal people, are trees. Trees are supernatural. They are natural, but they also have spirits. They are alive, and they talk. The flowers talk. They're alive.
I would even say it's not even supernatural. I think you can scientifically find things that trees talk with each other or communicate with each other.
But in the mind of people, definitely. It's not like, of course I can communicate right away with them.
Yeah, chemicals or something. They still, like, there's like these trees, they don't touch each other. I don't know if you saw it. Like,
well, of course, human beings want to rationalize everything, and they want to put it into a form where they can understand why A plus B
to explain.
Connects.
Yeah.
But we don't always have to understand how it works. And just because we don't understand how it works doesn't mean it's not working.
I think that's the difference. Like, I do. Like, I like this example that, let's say that you went to a magic show, right? So the magician is flying and I'm sitting and the mat is sitting and you are sitting. I look at it and I'm like, is he using a rope? Like, what's going on? I need to investigate. I go backstage. I would ask the guy, I was like, how did you do it? And he says, I mean, I'm not going to tell you, but it wasn't a rope. So I go and I look at these YouTube videos, right? So I need to figure it out. For Matt, probably he would be like, yeah, I know he's not flying, but I don't care. I just enjoy the show. I would like to just watch it and enjoy
100%.
it. I don't need to know it. For you, you are more like, maybe he's flying. How do you know that there's like needs to be some mechanism? Maybe he's just flying, but he's just telling people. So there are like these different levels of approaching, and I 100% agree with you that you don't always need to explain things or understand things.
Right.
But I need to. My
Right.
brain would lose it.
That's how your brain works. You want to understand how it
Yes.
works. Right. I understand that. And sometimes when we're technical like that, we can miss the actual beauty of something happening.
Yeah.
Just like you can explain a caterpillar turning into a butterfly and then flying away. But somebody else might see that as magic, that they could actually, be this worm that turns into this beautiful thing that flies away. But I mean, as far as the supernatural goes, aliens, other life on other planets, other beings. I believe in other beings. I believe in other spiritual beings that we're not allowed, that we don't see, that moved away from the earth because the human beings took over and they have logical minds and logical thinking. And all we wanted to do was steamroller everything and break everything and step on everything and then claim that we are the number one bigger, better being. And that's why all these smaller beings or beings that you can't see moved away, because they don't want anything to do with us. Because we are so in our heads, like Arda says, like Arda, you like to figure things out. You want to know how things work. And it's like, that's fine. That's normal. That's natural. But to be honest, you will never really figure out, you don't live long enough to figure out how things work. I mean, you could figure out scientifically, but think about it. The first scientists that got started, they died before they figured things out. And then someone had to pick up their work and then pick up their work. And it's a legacy of different discoveries.
Yeah, I like that practice though. I think that's getting us closer to the truth.
I agree. But I don't think that it would be the truth. I'm going to say there's many truths, because the game of telephone, if you go way back to other people's sightings of looking up in the air and seeing, go and look at hieroglyphics. You'll see so many spaceships and so many different things. In every country, you'll see a different thing, but it's the same thing, a light in the sky. Explain that. Explain the light in the sky that came down and it looks like a god. Everyone thinks it's like Jesus or whatever their religions are, when really it could have been an actual angel or a spirit or what? Who? We don't know. But we as human beings want to explain it away and say, well, it must have been, what do we say it is? A lot of times we say that we were seeing things or it's not real,
Do you think like every person on earth has the capacity to kind of seeing that or communicate with this type of beings, or it's just like
Some people.
It's just some people.
I believe that everybody has the capacity, every single person, but I also believe that some people are more sensitive and some people are more open. And I believe that we are born with a certain character and personality that will shut it off to where you are closed off to it. And if you're closed off to it, then you're not going to see it and you're not going to learn it. But if you're open to it, just like an example, a child, when they're little, you see all these bugs on the ground all the time. Ladybugs, roly-polies, worms, and all that stuff. You see all these little things when you're a child. But when you grow up, you stop seeing bugs because you're not looking anymore and you don't care anymore. And your mind is different. And you don't believe in Santa anymore. And you don't believe in the Tooth Fairy. And you don't believe in the Easter Bunny. But when you did believe, things were happening. Magical things would happen. You would see bugs and see all kinds of things. Now you don't. So people that believe in things and they're getting involved in the supernatural, yes, they have more of a sixth sense and they can connect. People that are psychic, telekinetic, and all that stuff, I believe that comes from generational inheritance. And I do believe that there are people that are stronger in that way, but I think we all have that ability. But I think it comes from your upbringing and where you're raised. Like Arda, for one, he has a way about being very more logical, and he wants to learn like how the mechanism is done. So he might be more closed off to being able to see certain things because he's not open to it. There's a straight up block, you know?
Yeah. And then also maybe the spirits are like, I don't have time for this bullshit with him.
Right. A lot of yogis will meditate and control their breath and leave their bodies. And they can control so many things. They've left their bodies and been able to look down and see themselves and also connect to certain spirits and all these things. And these are religious men. So, I mean, explain that.
Those are testimonial things. Like someone leaving, like if someone is lying on a bed and if they claim that they left their body and see themselves, you can easily test that with putting something written right next to them and they don't see it. And then ask them if they see it when they left their body. And if they cannot tell you, then, which they can't, we can prove those things, like testable things.
Actually,
But it doesn't happen. So those are more testimonial. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, okay. So there's been experiments where people have astral projected, left their body, and actually said to someone, hey, were you wearing a purple sweater? And did you do this, this, and that? And she's like, how did you know that? There was no one in my home. There's no possible way you could have known that I was wearing this and that I did this, this, and that. There's been several times where people have left their bodies or even near-death experiences. And they said like they knew what the doctor was saying. They knew what the nurse was saying. They went to other rooms and knew that other people. And I think this all ties into spirituality, witchcraft, and all that stuff. We just like to put labels on it because we don't know what it is. Because, of course, here we go again with us trying to name everything and put it in categories like laws of attraction, witchcraft, alien, astral projecting. I believe that all of that stuff is a similar power and energy. And we just harnessing that energy is what I study. I study how to harness the energy to create the world that I want to create for myself. I'm tested with everything that I teach. That's why I have to be careful of what I say. Like if I say to somebody, everything happens for a reason. You lost your home because of this. You lost your man because of this. This happened because of that. Then something happens to me, something really detrimental. And it says, oh, Ebony, you believe this? Okay, we're taking your house. We're taking your job. We're taking your man. And then I have to go and be like, okay, this is happening all for a reason. And I believe that it's spiritual. I'm probably getting off track here, but
No,
my mind goes
I think it was
everywhere.
great. Also, the things that you said, I think was great. And I do believe that we can shape our environment. I think as humans, we're more than capable of that. It's maybe one of the rare things that humans do really effectively than other animals, that we can change our surroundings, which can be negative for the nature. But still, like my point is going back to that, we're very much capable of creating an environment the way that we project and want to live into.
And that's magic.
Yeah.
Just that right there, what you just said, is being able to project what you want. Like you wanted an apartment, Arda. You wanted it to look a certain way. You had all these things on your mind, and now you have it. You wanted a good job where you got a certain amount, and now you have it. You get what you want, and you think it's just by hard work and endurance. No, it is actually by willing it to happen and then making it happen. And that is magic. Just that.
And that's why I love to talk with Ebony, because it makes me feel magical.
So funny. But simplifying the word magic makes people think, no, that's not magic. It's like, what do you want to see? Sparks and things flying and flowering? No. And that's why people they don't get it, and they think, oh, it doesn't exist because they're expecting to see you fly or
Yeah, like
hover
a
in the air.
wand or
No, what magic is saying it's an idea that you have that you want, willing it to happen, and with little to no effort, it happening. And a lot of movie stars and actors, people, they know this. They know that magic is real. They simply say, I want a check for this amount. They write it down, and here comes the money.
Jim Carrey.
They know about magic.
Yeah,
the
Jim
wealthy
Carrey did
people-
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
All the wealthy people in the world know that magic exists. They found the secret. And the people that don't believe in magic, they're not going to find it. They will not find it. They will be lost in this dense world with your thick, dense mind. You know, you're stuck down on the bottom barrel. There's tears. And if you believe in magic, believe me, you're getting into the upper tier. If you do not believe in magic, you're going to be stuck down there. You're going to be stuck down there with all the cavemen, with all the people that only believe in what they can touch. How boring is that? I would never want to be down there with all those animals. It's dangerous. You know?
Arda, yeah, I was going to be like, yeah, he looks like an animal next to you.
Triggered.
I'm just saying, it's primitive. To me, to not believe in magic is a primitive way of thinking. It's not like we need to use more of our brains before we die. We have such a short time. Why not look into the supernatural and at least test it? Why don't you start testing it by saying to the universe, if you don't know how to do magic, just close your eyes one day and say, you know what? Give me a sign. Give me a sign. Start willing things to happen. Ask for things. Say, you know what? I want to find money on the ground. I want a check in the mail. I want to meet that magnificent person. Start saying that more often. And believe me, it's going to happen. And when it does happen, your only job is to remember that you asked for it and to be grateful. That's the problem. It happens, and then you think, oh, that was just life. No, that was not life. That was you making it happen. But you forgot. And that's the problem with people. They forgot. They forget. Like you, like Arda. You set your intentions out for a good job, for a nice place, for everything that you have. And now you have it. And now you think it was just simple life. No, it wasn't. Because there's plenty of people that do not have what you have. And why? Because they don't have the ambition. Ambition is a way of starting magic. Ambition is the first ingredient to magic. There's many ingredients, but ambition gets the pot stirring and boiling.
I do agree with Ebony. I think sometimes it's hard for people to just maybe see it as a magic, but the way that you're describing is, yeah, I mean, you need to want something to get something. Like, I don't think if you just don't want it, it's just like, it doesn't make even sense that I don't want this money and then I'm rich all of a sudden. You didn't manifest that, but still, like, some things happen to you and how you respond to that. What you want from your life. I mean, I agree with you mostly what you're saying.
Thought process is so important.
Yeah.
And so when you don't think that this is going to happen, like, you know what, I'm going to do this spell, but it's probably not real. That is not going to work then. That's not how it works. When I think about that, I think about someone when they lose their memory, how right now you could be going through something in your life. Like right now, you want to live here, you want a green card or whatever. Right now, you're like stressed out about it or whatever, right? But what if someone hit you in the head and you lost your memory? You wouldn't even remember those hardships. You would forget everything. Your whole mindset would change. And you would think, hey, I want to go to America. And guess what would fucking happen? You would go to America. Why? Because you changed your mind.
Yeah.
100%. Your mindset is so important.
Yeah.
So it's a question also about believing in yourself, I guess, at the end of the day.
Right. But you got to change your thoughts. People don't realize that in order for magic to work and witchcraft, if you want to call it that, you have to change your thoughts. You have to completely change your thoughts. And you can't do that until you hit rock bottom. And I always tell people that magic is calling you and that somebody will find you in your life and they will lead you to that path. because it's kind of complicated to explain, but let's just say you're on a certain path. And if you're not going the right way, darkness will go. Light will go to dark and say, you know what? Arda is not listening. I've been telling him over and over in his ear, come on, do this, do this, do this. He will not listen. He's on this direct path. So you know what? We're burning his house down. We're going to burn down his house. And then they burn your house down. You're sitting there in all the aftermath. A lot of times people say, well, if my house hadn't burned down, I wouldn't have done this. If I hadn't lost my legs, I wouldn't have done that. If they hadn't deported me over here, I wouldn't have met this person and then did this and then came back. So everything that's happening is all in the works so you can get to where you need to go. But it all simply leads up to your spiritual path. And that's where I connected to spirituality, because I believe we're on a mission. And when we get off that mission and path, that is when we're hit and sent back to start again. And when you clear your mind and you're open, that's when miracles start to happen. And I am only saying this because I am proof of all the miracles. I manifested everything that I have in my life. I wanted things, I wrote them down, and I have exactly what I want. I'm 51 years old. I live in a little house in Hollywood. I have all these fruit trees. I only work 3 days a week, and I am able to survive, and I am very comfortable.
You have your own business too.
Yes. And you know something? I wrote it all down. I wanted it all, and I got it all because I stopped doubting myself. And that's what people don't know. That one act of not doubting is magic. That's magic right there. That's you're changing the energy. And if I could help anybody understand this even clearer, magic is just energy. Energy is what you put off. For instance, you go to a restaurant, your waitress is in a bad mood. She's throwing energy at you. What kind of energy? Negative energy. That is negative energy that can be harnessed. That negative energy will come back to that waitress later on. Okay? But you do not have to feel it. You could repel it. Okay? I look at it as this. Whatever you're sending out is like a boomerang. So if you don't believe in magic, magic doesn't believe in you. It ain't going to happen, and you're not going to find it, you know?
One question, like, do you have a spell to give us, like, for people listening or watching, like something they can do basically to improve themselves by themselves? Something easy to do.
Something easy to do to improve themselves. Okay, several things. First of all, when you're looking down at your phone like this, your neck right here is constantly looking down and the blood flow is not good to your brain. So first thing you need to do is stop looking down at your phone, okay? Can you stop that? Look up. Look up at the sky. I want you to take your glasses off because the sun will open up something in your body, mind, and soul. It will charge you. Looking at the sky is going to give you hope. You're going to look up. Okay. And I know that sounds so ridiculous. The other thing is be barefoot. Step on the actual ground. We are made of the earth. We come from the earth, but yet we wear shoes that block the energy in between the ground and ourselves. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? This is a complete block. So if you're feeling anxious and not like indecisive and not grateful, take your shoes off. Go sit under a tree and look up at the sky, okay? And you can start to meditate and manifest. Spend time in nature. That's my recipe to start making changes in your life. And I promise you, you'll start to think clearer. And then you'll learn other things. But we're out of time. Candle magic.
Right.
Use fire, the element of fire. Nothing gets done without the element of fire. Fire is magic itself. Have you ever seen fire, how it dances and moves, sways? Fire is magic. Use it.
Yeah, I was at the Dock Whaler Beach yesterday, and with the sand and the fire, and as you said, sky. Like I did all of those. It was beautiful.
It works.
Where can we find you online or something like that? Is there a way to reach you if we want, like, for example, candles?
Absolutely. So I have my website. It's called Ebonylane at Big Cartel. .com. You can purchase my candles. The latest items that I have are up on my website. You can also contact me on my Instagram at Ebonylane_enchanted. If you DM me, I get back to you right away. I do oracle readings, tarot readings, and intuitive connection. I like to just talk it out with you, and then we go over what's going on, and then I can give you suggestions on what tools that I recommend that you should use to connect with your spirit guides, ascended masters, and just a direct path to feeling better and closer to your spirit, your own spirit.
And Ebony's candles are not only like smells really, really good, but also looks really, really good too. I think she's doing a great job.
I'm gonna have to give you a free candle.
Well, you can find all those links in the description for people listening anyway. Well, thank you, Ebony, for your time. I was one of your hosts, Matt.
Thank you,
It was a special
Ebony.
Halloween episode. And I was with my good friend Arda. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, guys.
See you guys next episode.
Follow us on social media and everywhere at Yes and No Podcast. Have a good day. See ya.